Okay, we're here. Good morning, everybody. It is Saturday morning, and this is Saturday Morning Live. That's what I started calling it on the title, Saturday Morning Live. And Mural Joe Live sounded too much centered on myself because I always rely on somebody like Jonathan here. He's watching the chat for us. Right there, he is, handsome fellow that he is. He is subbing for Ben. We kind of
Morning.
spread the. You gonna be all right there, Jonathan? He says he's a little bit under the weather. He's not feeling top notch today, so he might be a little.
But Ben wasn't last week either, so it's just
Yeah, I know.
The game for a few months there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's how it goes. But we spread the the workout. This is good. So it's kind of like you're not subbing for Ben. It's just kind of like you're the other guy that does it. And we've had Mavis help. We've had Leanne help. We've had a lot of people help with this event. So I guess we're all in it together. Another way to think of that. We got Round Brush on board. Who else do we got? I saw that at the top of the list. Who's tuning in this morning?
We got Leanne, Mavis, Samilla, Tyler McDonald, Karina, and Sherry Robicon.
Okay, nice. Good having you guys. Good having you all here. Yeah, now that's interesting.
I don't know who the other. There's 16 watching. Don't know.
I want to know the story behind Samilla. I want to know the story behind that because I have, Camilla is a good friend from our Super Peer platform that we had previously. And so I'm curious about the username that's almost like the name you had me learn. Is it Camilla or Samilla? Which one is it?
I don't know. If she responds in the chat, I'll share that story.
Oh, I know. Yeah. I want to know about the username. Usernames are always fun. Fun for us to butcher them. Hey, what are we painting today anyway? Should we go full abstract? I know that you've been, putting an order in for another abstract piece. What do you think?
I love the abstract one you did before. Yeah.
Little abstract, but we still use. Go ahead,
you apply all the same principles. That's what's really cool about it. I was thinking the moon doesn't have all the atmosphere on it. If you paint something on the surface of the moon, you'd have to think through how everything changes without an atmosphere to.
Everything.
You have no ambient lighting and shadows would change.
Right. Well, we don't care about accuracy too much. We just want stuff to look cool. I like to understand
with atmosphere then.
A moon with yeah. Well, maybe it's possible.
Roundbush wants a Picasso portrait of Ben.
Nice, man. I've looked at Ben's face enough. I feel like I could actually do that. Let's see if we can handle it on the whiteboard. I respect this request. Okay.
I think this is a good. Mavis is on board with abstracts.
Ah, nice. Let's try to employ some ordinary shape and color knowledge into something abstract. Abstract as in we can't really tie it down to one particular thing. The concept is abstract, but it doesn't mean we didn't think about it. All right, here's Ben. Ben, I apologize in advance for what I'm about to do. Okay. All right.
While you're doing that, Samilla says that Samilla instead of Camilla is because C is pronounced as S in some cases in the Danish language. Camilla is pronounced as a K, but I just thought it was funny to put an S on instead of C.
Ah, okay. All right. So, so then does that mean we should pronounce Camilla different than we already do?
If you're in, I just drawing a blank on where Danish language is from. What country is that from?
Denmark. She's from Denmark. And
So
I
if you're
only
in
know
Denmark,
that
you should probably do
because
that.
yeah. Samila. Okay, cool.
Nice.
Well, okay, what do you think? Is it Ben? Do you think we've got Ben? We need a mustache.
I think at a cartoon level you have Ben. I think this could be a cartoon.
It's not
character.
Picasso. You know, I think I haven't really done I haven't done Picasso justice. I don't think.
Brown Brush says it looks like an anatomically accurate version of Ben.
We're gonna have to make sure Ben gets that. Okay. Cheekbones. Oh man, those are some powerful cheekbones. Well, you know, we need some hair. He's got hair. He hasn't lost that, you know. Yeah, there we go. And there's the nose. He's got these slanty eyes. You know, the eye tilt is a big part of a person's unique expression to their face. You know, the corner to corner does a tilt.
Yeah, so says, it's Ben.
All right. Nice. Okay. I think we've done it just here. Let's do a little bit of detail in the ear.
Good.
Yeah, we need ears. That's got to be. See, I'm already failing at Picasso because I'm stuck with the has to be. This has to connect this. I think Picasso was like liberated from all that. Okay, we're gonna make Ben on the computer. All right. Okay, like
That's set. JP says, "Good morning from Seattle." Yes, I don't know. I said.
Oh, from Seattle. Nice. Welcome.
I hope
JP.
everyone had a good Christmas. I agree. Merry Christmas, everyone. Hope you all enjoyed your holidays.
Nice.
And New Year is coming up here.
That's Ben. We're gonna title this, make it official. It's Ben. Ben, have a good camping trip. He's out camping. That's why he's not here. Okay. And Ben, and that's it. That's the drawing. I did my best, Brown Brush.
Tyler said this is what it looks like when they draw people. They didn't realize they were an abstract artist.
Nice. Okay, you found your sweet spot there. That's good. Well, you know, this is a good. I think abstract is a good challenge, getting outside of my comfort zone or getting outside of the usual. I think abstract is comfortable concept to do. You know, it is comfortable, and but it's just not usual. So
yeah,
you know, I like the shift of focus. I think is where I'm going with that. I like the shift of focus onto some things that, what would you call it? Things that kind of trigger idea. They trigger associations without defining them really distinctly. That's my take on. That's how I would attempt to define the genre. Is it triggers a lot of things, but not the same thing for everybody and not real distinct. So let's get colors. I'm going to get some of my favorite colors to be creative with. And so I got purple, the reverb of color, I like to call it. I'm going to stick with that. Purple really is the reverb, because the more you mix colors of light, the more, okay, here's why. This is why I've noticed with the rule of shifting hues, as I've called it in the past, or you could say with translucent versus reflective glow, reflective gradients. When light bounces off of things, it tends to shift toward purple. When light passes through things, it tends to shift color toward yellow. So it's from yellow to purple or from purple to yellow. That's the direction that it tends to. And I'm saying it tends to because we can always find exceptions to helpful patterns like that. I remember it because it's helpful, not because it needs to be the absolute truth in a textbook somewhere. It's not that kind of a thing. It's a really helpful pattern that, can make you feel more liberated when you're trying to capture an effect. Anyway, if everything that bounces is shifting toward purple, that makes it the reverb of light, because reverb is bouncing, is, like the ambient bouncing sound everywhere. You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Exactly.
Makes sense.
So I like to call it the
I didn't
reverb.
get what you meant when you first said that it was the reverb, but your explanation.
Okay, but I'm
makes
gonna.
it very clear.
What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna try to. I didn't plan on focusing on this, but this piece is going to exhibit the reverb nature of purple. I just now decided that's what needs to happen because I talked about it.
Right. Awesome.
So from purple, I'm gonna bring out all the different colors that I want to see in this, and purple is going to be the, just like the starting atmosphere that it all kind of seems to be coming out of. Well, that's the goal. Who knows what's actually going to happen? Okay, we're going to throw some red on this canvas.
Do you mix a flow medium in your dispensers, Joe?
No, this is just this paint has a large percentage of pigment. It has a large amount of pigment just because it's what I request at the paint store. I try to get paints that have a lot of pigment. And pigment tends to make the paint a little more runny because, the way it's, well, maybe that just depends. If you get it tinted at the paint store, they have, those tints are a liquid. They're suspended in a liquid. And so it adds non-hardening, non-drying, curing liquid to your paint when you add a lot of pigment. So sometimes that's annoying when you're trying to get it to dry on a wall. It can be really annoying. But when you're trying to be quick on a canvas, it's nice having your paint not dry real quick. But I think brand is probably the biggest variable there, because paint companies have different recipes for the paint that they make, and so you'll find one has a different feel, different texture. For example, this yellow, this is a Sherwin-Williams yellow, and this product, it's Interior Duration by Sherwin-Williams. And I understand people are watching from all over the globe, and so you're not going to have this. It's not important for you to get this brand, but it's an example. This one never gets the rubbery skin that dries on the top. You know how you work with water-based paint and you can, and it'll get a skin over the top, and then you go to dip and it's like gets these chunks that are annoying. Well, this one never does that. I don't know why. Something about the recipe. So this one will just kind of get thicker across the whole batch, as opposed to getting like a skin. I just saw a little, you probably didn't see it happen, but I was painting and my brush flicked a drop upward and I saw it go all the way up to the ceiling and fall back down. Like that. That'd be cool if I could do that on purpose.
Especially so laying back on the right part of the painting, then that's it. Really impressive.
Sure. Trick painting. If I really work on the flip tricks with my brush, then maybe I can get there.
Kind of a sign of how long people have been watching you is whether they know the flip tricks.
Yeah.
You don't do those on your current videos, right? Those are gone.
Well, they're not, I just moved on to other priorities. I didn't make a decision to not do it. It was like a little show off party.
It was your intro though. Back.
I know. And I am a show off by nature. It's like, look what I can do. That's what I love, is showing people my latest tricks. I really do like to do that, but just other priorities. I was trying to make things that had kind of a different tone to them, I think. Just trying to focus.
We've got really good representation from, you got great representation from Canada today.
Nice. All right.
All over. And then
we got Canada in the house. I'm looking at my Tell me
Cinean
if
said they've been watching you for years, but it's their first live stream.
Oh, nice. Thanks for joining. Okay, I hope I don't disappoint. Wow, that's cool. Okay, we don't have any blue on there. Blue is a dangerous color. You put it on there and you get a whole lot more green than you wanted a lot of the time. See, that's why the purple's nice. Purple is the reverb that brings all the colors together. It really is like that. I'm not just saying it. I think you could use any color with that same philosophy, but purple has this. Okay, I'm saying my opinion on this, but really I think this is true, that purple has this very natural natural looking way of tying colors together. I'm trying to find just the right words to say that so I don't, miscommunicate the idea. I think it does the best job of tying stuff together. It doesn't mean that I need to have a visible purple in all my pictures. It just, because of that pattern I was describing, that reflecting light will start moving its way toward purple the more it reflects, because I don't know why. Because it's the light that bounces. That side of the spectrum bounces better. That's why. Purple is also the most bouncy color. There you go. In case you wondered. Yeah, the most bouncy color.
I'm painting a bouncy ball. I got to use purple.
Yeah. All right. I think we got some stuff happening. I got a background here laid out. We don't have green. Might be fun to have some green. Let's do.
It might be. But
let's get some
blue
green.
Is dangerous because it adds green. Wouldn't green be even more dangerous?
Well, it's about intention. When you are intending to have blue and then you unintentionally get a bunch of green, it hijacks your project. Next thing you know, you're like, well, I guess I'll just make do with all of this green, but it wasn't what you were trying to make. That's what I like.
I thought maybe purple was the reverb color and green was the most dangerous color.
Man.
But it's still blue. Blue's the most dangerous color.
I think blue is the dangerous color because it's hard to control. It's the Hulk. It's the Incredible Hulk. It turns green and hijacks the painting.
I don't know if this is part of that, but our perception for colors, we notice green the most vividly. We have the most ability to receive green, and then the blue is like in that same range of perceptibility.
All right.
So I don't know if maybe that adds to it even more.
Yeah. Okay. It makes sense. Yeah. I mean, green is in when you look at the LCDs that are used to reproduce the colors on your screen, green is definitely the brightest. It's the super bright LCD, and so equal amounts of the green, red, and blue make what appears to be a balanced white. You divide those up, so I can see what you're saying. Like the green is the one that we really see, the brightest of those three. So, I guess that makes your point. I'm going to throw some black in this yellow to get something that looks more grassy. I think a good abstract, I should paint it for a while at this angle, then flip the angle. That'd be kind of fun. I'm looking for my black paint at the moment.
Mila wants to know what you're painting today.
Well, we decided to keep the subject abstract, but I would say that I am indeed painting a picture. I don't think we should
painting
rule
a
that
picture
out.
today, Camilla.
Painting a painting. I'm learning Mandarin Chinese very, very slowly, a little bit every month.
Ni hao.
Ni hao. Ni hao ma. So, in that language, it's normal to say I'm painting a painting. It is, like you say, it's kind of like they have a word, yo-yong is like, kind of like I'm swimming a swim. I'm going and riding a ride. You know, like there's a different structure to the way they put the verbs and the nouns together. So it wouldn't be weird to say I'm painting a painting if we were using that language. That it's. Now, if you're Chinese, feel free to correct me. I apologize if I misrepresented your language just now. It does happen. Okay, I'm putting black on. I went and found my black. Black is my favorite.
Camilla's pointing out part of the challenge of abstract is to not have it become a landscape. Hard to keep it abstract when you're used to painting a landscape. So
yeah, right. And here I am making a horizon that's got green on it. Oh, I wish you wouldn't have said that. Okay, let's. now I feel held accountable about that. Well, you know what, Camilla, I am a landscape painter. I'm just going to own that. We're going to get some black. I'm going to make this object, not necessarily hills, not necessarily grass. I'm going to make this object translucent. Okay. So we're going to go black like this, and we're going to increase color and move toward yellow, where I want it to look like there is light coming from beneath the surface, beyond the surface, beneath the surface. And then where I want it to be reflecting, so we'll put some light coming out of there. We'll put some light. We're going to have some translucency. You know what would be cool? Let's put some patches of it kind of shining out. That'd be cool. Kind of like ripples. Just an idea. That's all it is. Okay, so we're going to put some light coming out of our object. We don't know what it is because it's abstract. And then we're going to put some darker color where we don't want that. And we're going to add purple to it because purple is the color things move toward when it's reflecting, not going through. So I can make a immediate effect. You know, I can be very intentional about the effect without confining my picture to a certain object. I can say, well, here I want light to be not passing through, but bouncing off. So adding that gray purple, boom, it accomplishes that very quickly. I can be in control of that effect, but still maintain my abstract vibe, like what in the world is this a picture of? You know, and you know, I think it's a good thing if some accidents happen. That's cool too. I think
Mark Tanguay loves the sea and is hoping that you'll turn it into a sea, an abstract one, obviously.
Okay, that's cool. Maybe we can make some kind of a vessel that is on this so-called sea. Let's do it. Let's put some. I'm going to be using a lot of purple because purple is the reverb of my painting. That's orange. Here's purple. Okay, we're going to make some kind of a vessel. I don't know what kind of a vessel it is, but if somebody wants to call it a ship, I won't say they're wrong. Okay, and we'll put some reflection of that. Now, orange on green. What color is that going to give us? Is it going to give us a shade of yellow? Red and green would make a yellow. If it's light, we're combining light. Orange is heavier on the yellow already, so it's going to be a heavier on the green in terms of RGB. Orange would be heavier on green than it is on red. So it's going to be a greenish yellow. That's what I'm going to put right here to get the look of a reflection, a greenish yellow. Not that that has to happen. You know, I'm not trying to do things. This painting isn't about the right way. It's just trying to capture effects on purpose. That's all it is. But as it gets closer, I'm going to put more of the object's color in there. it gets further toward that horizon. There we go. Now we got what looks like maybe a reflection of our vessel. And I stayed off of the
Tyler
my bright
McDonald
yellow.
says you get your strength from purple. He says purple is to Joe as spinach is to Popeye.
Man, that's funny. I was obsessed with Popeye when I was a kid. You know that? I asked when it was my birthday and we could choose any meal we wanted. Do you know I asked for a big pot of spinach, of steamed spinach? Think of that, a 10-year-old that's like, I just want a big pot of steamed spinach. I think Popeye got in my head.
The cartoon worked. They convinced you to eat your spinach.
I think it did. I don't think that I knew what was going on, but I think it definitely kind of brainwashed me, but like not in a bad way. You know?
And did you actually eat it, or you just asked for it and realized this isn't really that great?
No, I loved it. I mean, I grew to love it, and I think there's some psychology to that, you know. I think there was like some. I think and to this day, I love greens. I love the flavor of real green as in the flavor of bamboo, green tea. There's a particular flavor, like an earthy green. But I really love that flavor, and I think it all started with big pots of spinach. You know, just a funny thing. You know what? I always like the look of things splitting open. So, you know, if we want to make something splitting open, I can make it splitting open and like light coming in. Well, I think light is a cool effect. So I'm going to shift toward my, yellow again. So we're at like blues here. So we'll go to this grayish red orange, and then we'll go from there. Actually, let's put the purple in. This is a good time to put
those
purple
orange
in.
brushstrokes seem very intentional, but I can't see the intent yet. What was your
Well, just something that I can loosely associate with a crackle pattern when something is cracking apart. Okay. You know, but it's I'm trying
so
this
is like when you did the kind of also another abstract one. You did kind of a forest painting, but more abstract and very colorful. You showed how to do bark and crackles in the ground and whatnot. That's
it. Yeah. So I want to use that effect without getting obsessed with the accuracy of where all of the, you know, I want to keep a loose kind of feel with this, because trying to do justice to the genre of abstract, where it doesn't look like you're trying to control exactly what the viewer's seeing.
Yeah. So people are asking about how often you do the live streams and when they are. Where can they get onto your mailing list? What should they?
All right. Right now, you just have to send me a personal email. Just send an email to joe@muraljoe.com. Just send an email saying, I want to be on the list. Or you can send it. I check both emails. Share, actually, these live streams, if you want to share a picture, have people look at it, it's share@muraljoe.com. And so I'll get it there. If you send an email to share@muraljoe.com saying, put me on your list, I am not in the business of advertising. I don't like to put people on a mailing list that don't specifically ask to be on it. I don't like to put check boxes that are in tiny little corners that you didn't see that put you on a list. You know what I mean? I hate that. I hate the way that our world works in that way. So you have to ask to be on it. And I am not going to apologize for leaving you off of it.
And we might not email you even if you, no, I'm just kidding.
That's it. Yeah. There is, go ahead, Jonathan.
Oh, we're both go-aheading each other.
Yeah, I know.
I talk to Joe each week about sending something out on the mailing list, and there's a lot of hesitation to send anything out. He doesn't want to spam anyone.
You're always very good about that. Jonathan's been exceptionally helpful in the way of communication. He's been staying on top of it. He is the only reason that it happens at all at this point. It's been very good. All right, here's something that fascinates me. shapes have always been something that's on my mind all the time. I can't not look at shapes in the world, and it's to the point of being severely distracted by those shapes. So like when we're in a conversation, if you're ever in a conversation with me, and a valuable thing to understand is in order to be in a conversation with you, I'm shutting out visual distractions, which it's well worthwhile. I want to have friends. I don't want to be somebody I don't want to pretend like that's a burden. I'm just trying to express how much of a polarized bent on that subject is natural. I'm thinking about shapes, seeing them. So I'm noticing shapes all around the whatever room environment we're in. I have a hard time not dialing in on the shapes that I like or don't like, or having thoughts about them. It's just that it's always on the radar, and that's kind of weird. I don't know why that is. But I love shapes.
So you train your brain to study them so much.
Well, perhaps that's it. But why did I want to study them in the first place? When I was really small, the thing I loved about drawing was the creation of shapes was therapeutic. It was fun. It was not, like just the lines. And so my reason in saying this kind of triggered that association as I'm putting these swipes. I don't know exactly why I did this, except that I like the feel of this. It gives me a sense of motion. It's perhaps I'll get to the point where I can dissect exactly why this shape layout felt natural to me. But I'm fascinated. My end point is I'm fascinated with the element of intuition. It just seems like there's a lot there. There's this intuition about it's going to look good if I put this shape here. I don't know why. It just feels right. And I don't think that should be ignored. I think that's something that it pays off to stay in touch with, like fire up that part of your mind when you're getting into art. I wouldn't have said this years ago, starting out my Mural Joe YouTube channel. I was really trying to stick with the analytical shedding light on the subject of art, answering the questions that weren't analytically answered, because that has tremendous value too. When you want to know what kind of gradients create what effects, you want to create this look. It's nice to have tools when you know what you want to create. It's a wonderful thing, But then that is not to ignore the intuition that can be so fascinating in an abstract piece that you like. And so, it's cool. It's a cool thing. Very, very different subjects, but both have this value. It really adds to a piece. All right. So next.
This feels like on sea when the ship is tipping.
Yeah, it does feel like that, right? So I think that in this picture, I love the look of cool gradients. So cool in everything on the bluer side of purple, and then warm gradients would be everything on the orange side, the red side of purple. So just so you know what I'm talking, I'm not trying to teach something, just trying to be clear with my communication. So when I'm saying I really like the look of cool gradients on top of warm gradients, I really like putting something like this. I'm feeling like maybe there's a big blue violet kind of object. It's maybe spiraling-ish, like this. I'm gonna make like a spiral pattern. Let's go like this. You need sound effects.
Yeah, nice.
And we're not gonna make it exactly the same everywhere.
So Camilla has a question for you. Multi-part question here.
Let's hear it.
Have you ever done Have you ever done a mural with someone else? Have you worked together with another artist on a mural?
Yeah, I have. It doesn't happen frequently because I actually don't paint murals too frequently, believe it or not. I spend a lot of time doing stuff like this.
Mural Joe, not painting murals.
But I love working with others. I know. I love working with others when the opportunity arises. I live in this little mountain town. It's not easy for people to get here all the time, and so that's one challenge. It's not like a big city where there's a bunch of artists lined up to work together. It's like, small, quiet town culture, and I like it. But whenever there's opportunity, I really jump on it when I can, because I love.
Do you end up painting with artists you already knew, or do you paint with new artists you've never worked with before?
Both. I had my buddy Vince that lives in Florida. He's another small town guy down in the town of LaBelle, Florida. I'm going to go see him here in a couple months. And he helped me do he's helped me do thousands of square feet of clouds on a total of 2 church ceilings, 2 completely different projects. And that was really fun. We had a lot of fun working together.
Your Michelangelo moment, painting church ceilings.
Totally. Yeah. People talk about painting on your back, like with scaffolding, and that is so ineffective. It is so hard to do that. So definitely not my approach. I tried painting on my back a long time ago for the sake of comfort, and it did not work well.
What problems did you have laying on your back trying to paint?
Surprisingly, the muscle set that you use is the biggest hang up, at least for me. That's what it was. A very strange muscle
in there.
It uses muscles in your elbow that hold up the weight of your arm. Your arm is up like this, and this muscle set in your elbow gets exhausted. So I'm sure you could train for a couple days and be done with that. But I found it so distracting that I was like, I'm not doing this. This is holding up progress on the job. So I
took the sore neck over the
totally,
then.
Totally. Yeah. And so I just decided I'm just going to do this job standing up.
Oh boy.
All right. So what's going on here? I don't know what's happening in this picture, but it just, it felt good. I like the way the blue looks against the gradient. To me, gradients are magical. So I wanted to see hard edges in front of that gradient.
Can we do, is that green at the bottom, whatever that is it translucent enough that blue is going to show through it a little bit?
It should reflect. Oh, we could do both. We could do both things. Okay.
I think you're on the right track because Cat Marie in the woods says, "Did I wake up into a dream?"
Nice.
What's going on here?
Yeah. We're going abstract. Okay.
Okay, so part 3 or 4 of Camilla's question. Let's go back up to it. Is it possible to make a wish to go paint with you someday?
Absolutely. Just make your way to Flagstaff and tell me when you're coming, and I will do my best. I'll do my best to make that happen. I really love painting with company. If you want to make it an official paint session lesson, then I sell those. You can pay me and schedule it and make it official, and I'll give you a certificate and all of that.
We'll make certificate too.
Well, like a ticket, as in like a ticket that locks it in like a contract. Like, you have purchased this day. These, I
thought it was like graduation. They say
no. I haven't gone to that level. That still feels a bit presumptuous to me, even though it has been requested, and I can understand it, but perhaps one day in the world's eyes, I'll be qualified for that. So right now I'm just trying
It's
to
amazing
just
how
tap in. Go ahead, Jonathan. We're on a delay here, it's a latency.
Oh, is it delayed? That makes it no fun. You added just a few wider brush strokes at the top there, and it turned that whole blue spiral from kind of going along the sky back and right, coming out towards you.
Yeah, right. Some foreshortening. We're trying to add some foreshortening. Now, we got the blue, we got the purple. I think this needs like a reddish orange color kind of spawning out of the blue colors. You know what I'm going to do? We're going to do purple and then go to red. So right here, I'm going to go purple, and then we're going to put some red spawning out of that like this. And then we're going to take some orange, spawn it out of there. There we go. And then some white on there I think will look cool. There we go. There, I just wanted to see a little bit of bright color in there. I don't know if that was the way I envisioned it, but it's something. Maybe some yellow. Let's see what yellow looks like. Okay, I'm gonna put some other stuff happening here. I think that we've established that there's some reflection going on here. Let's put some reflection of blue on green is going to be a very gray, the dark blue on a green. We're going to have like a very grayish color here. So if I go down here and mix a color, purple's going to make everything come together in my picture. So we're going to do purple and yellow and blue for green. Let's get a very gray kind of green for this reflection, and we'll keep it real dark. Like, let me get a little bit more blue and purple in there. Let's see what this looks like. We need a little bit of black. Let's see what that looks like.
Joe, how can someone, this comes from Learning Center for You, how can you stop being so obsessed with detail? Not you, but how can they stop being so obsessed with detail in their paintings and learn to be more free and impulsive?
Well, I would say I want to answer this well. I don't want to give an impulsive answer to this question about impulse.
Yeah, make sure you give a detailed answer here, not an impulsive one.
Well, I think it deserves an authentic answer, because I do know that struggle. I definitely know that struggle, and your work doesn't benefit from it. However, obsession with detail can make you better at learning how to do details. It's not like these days I try to steer away from absolute statements like this is the better way, this is the right way. There are just there are the benefits to the ways we choose to do things. So I think experiencing the success of patterns put together that stimulate imagination will steer you in the direction of letting go, where you can make better judgments in a picture. So I talk about patterns all the time. So I think my honest answer is get as familiar with patterns as you possibly can. And the patterns are specifically those that create perception effects. What causes you to perceive a glassy surface? What causes you to perceive light coming out of something? Effects that cause the perception of something, I think, are awesome tools. And if you get real familiar with those, then you can understand real confidently in a picture. I've got the effect. The details aren't aren't what is going to accomplish my mission in this one. You can make those decisions with greater confidence. Obsession over details, I think, I'm not going to make any absolute statements about it, but I think it happens very easily when you feel like it's the pathway to getting your picture to have the effect you want it to have on a viewer. You're like, I want the viewer to look at this and be wowed by some element, and you're feeling like the details are the pathway. In some pictures that may be the case, but I would say in many, it's some loose pattern that gets associated with something we've seen before that causes that. And you get familiar with those, and then you can be like, oh, I got it. I don't need to paint anything else. I've captured the effect. That's been very empowering for me. And, you know, it definitely has not been my whole career as a mural painter. You can see so much obsession over details in my earlier work that just like I said, doesn't make the picture better.
I'm not nearly the artist that Joe is, but what I've done is try to focus on the biggest shapes and get the biggest shapes on there. And then later, if I still have details I want to add, then I can work on the details.
Nice. Okay, that's cool. We're going to go, I need a dark circle here. I'm having an idea, a shape idea. All it is just a shape idea. I think there might be some kind of a, not that this whole picture doesn't feel like a portal of some sort, but I feel like it might be cool to take this black ring and just make it going down behind the horizon. And then I'm going to make it showing through. We're going to make this passing through. So how can I make this look like it's showing through and not reflecting? That's going to be a challenge. I don't know how I'm going to do that, but I'm going to attempt it. So if it were reflecting, then this would be a really dark object blocking the light that's reflecting off of, leaving a more saturated under what I call the underwater color, but it's just the color of the substance. But if it were passing through, it would be extra shifted toward yellow. So I'm thinking, God, both things are going to do that. Boy, that's a real challenge.
I think part of it is whether you cover the other reflections or not, because a reflection is going to trump anything shining through.
Yeah, right. I'm going to add some orange. I'm going to add a little bit of irrelevant color to this so that it looks like it's coming through. So sometimes I run into this where it's like I have this effect, but it's really similar to some other effect. And, you know, it's not always real cut and dry how I'm going to make it look like the one, but not the other. You know, I want this to look like it is not a reflection. So I made so this is a color issue where color actually is real important, because color is in this picture. I have to be sure that the color is sending the message I want to send if I want to capture these effects. So I'm adding a little orange so that this doesn't feel like that exact pattern of a reflection. So now to illustrate that further, this object, I'm going to make one that has a lot less of the yellow, and I'm going to make it a darker color and make it reflecting. So this is going to be the reflection of that shape. Hopefully, I mean, that's the intent. All I can do is express intent here. So we're going to go like this, and it's this darker color. It's still going to have yellow, but it's going to be a little bit more like like the surrounding established colors. That's going to be the reflection of my black circle right here. And then we'll make it darker as it gets up here, because reflection is like that. As you approach that angle that's parallel to your line of vision. All right. Let's get both things going on here.
They're asking in the comments again where to send art. Email it to share at muraljoe.com.
Yeah, I want to see that. I want to see that art. Okay. Now
and if you want him to critique it, you've got to specify it, because otherwise he'll just tell you it's amazing and you don't get a critique.
Yeah. I'll be like, good job. Wonderful. It looks fantastic. I always love, I feel flattered that people want to show me their art. I feel very honored to have that shared with me. So the last thing I want to do is give unwanted criticism, Last thing I want to do. Okay. I'm trying to put a little bit of fire in this ring. So orange inside of red, loosely. We're not trying to kill ourselves with details on this. But there might be a place to really slave over details in an abstract piece, Just depends. Just depends what your current mission is, right? Okay, now I'm going to put a little bit of yellow inside of that. Wherever I see that orange, that's where I'm going to put this yellow, because I'm making these gradients. I'm going to zoom in a little.
So this is like some kind of fireball shot across the sky.
Yeah,
smoke and fire path.
Yeah. That's the feel I want. I want to steer away from saying exactly what things are, but that's the feel I'm going for.
Someone said earlier in the comments that it looked like a battle scene at the sea, and that was before you added the blue and the
with futuristic weapons.
I think
it's
gone even more that route.
Yeah. Nice. I like that. Okay. There we go.
The reflection pick up some of these yellows and orange as well?
Yes. Yes, indeed it would. Let's put some in there. Let's take this bright yellow reflecting off of that green, mix it with my reflection color that's already down here. Like this. Maybe throw some orange in there. And let's put some, an impression. It's an impression of it. We got something reflecting in the green, and then what else could we do here? I want to put a cool looking halo around that thing. I really like the concept of my purple tying things together, so I'm going to put purple and white around the edges of this, just around the edges. It'll give it kind of a 3D-ish look. I think. I'm not sure.
Tyler McDonald says Johnny Cash, The Ring of Fire.
Ooh, nice. That's a good association. No. So I don't know if I like what I did with that, but you got to try stuff to see if you like it. Not sure. Maybe a little more black.
There's a city in Northern California, Folsom, California.
Okay.
And they have a prison there. Johnny Cash actually wrote a song called Folsom Prison Blues.
Oh, okay. Yeah, right. I think I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
I believe he actually went and performed at the prison for all the inmates.
I've heard that. That's
then,
really neat. That's a cool thing.
Just recently, Folsom, to honor their connection with Johnny Cash, named their major bike trail the Johnny Cash Trail, and built this.
Okay, cool.
Bridge. It kind of has like Folsom Prison vibes to it, and then they installed some like giant guitar picks along the path.
Oh, that's fun. That sounds really cool. I was, messing around with the edge here, trying to get a kind of a smokier looking edge by blending it with the background colors. Let's zoom out, see what we've got. Yeah, definitely abstract. Definitely an abstract thing. Okay, now I want to capture reflection a little more. Let's make this not feel quite as flat. Right here, I want to feel like it's got some reflections on that surface there. Let's put
bringing the background onto
purple.
the
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, so we're gonna squiggle this around like this, stop it dead on that. Oh no, it goes through that because that's the thing showing through from the backside. Okay.
So at the beginning of the video, you were explaining how you were choosing what reflections, but there's a question about it again. So reflections, you're gonna go paint a reflection. Walk us through that process again of
yeah, okay, very good. Yeah. So when light bounces off of things, a great general rule is when it bounces off of things, it tends to, not absolutely does, but tends to move toward purple. And so as a general rule, I have a little bit more purple added where I want the effect of light. So when I came down here, I put a little bit of purple in that just as a general practice. And so, other than that, reflection is a combination of the two colors, but as light would mix, not as paint. Paint's going to make green. So when I was reflecting the blue, I made a much grayer version of the blue and green because when you combine those two colors of light, you'll notice when you look at blue skylight combined with green forest in the distance of landscape, it's so gray. And that's because blue light and green light don't make a very vivid turquoise unless you really turn up the brightness like on an LCD screen. Those are super vivid lights to begin with. Okay, so my point is understanding what light would do when it mixes, and then mixing that color with the paint, and then a gradient that is greater reflection where it's more parallel to my line of vision. So, I want to reflect this color. I've got these colors in here. I want to reflect this red. We're going to make yellow to red, something real fiery right here. I want to reflect this off of my green. So that's a pretty easy one, but red and green make yellow with light. A dark yellow is a brown. So to make the reflection on this green, I can actually make a brown because I understand what colors of light do when they mix. So let's do orange and black to create a brown, right? And this will be my reflection color, orange and black, on my green surface. Like that. It's kind of fun, huh? Let's go here. Like that. Now I'm going to make it a lot lighter. The brightness of it matters. That's a light source, not a dark object. So I really need to lighten that. Really need to make it much lighter. But if it's on a very dark green surface, it would make sense. Okay. So here is my, gosh, I could have just done an orange there. Let's put more orange in it. Let's get it, a little brighter because it's a light. There. So I'm just using the logic of what light colors do when they mix and reproducing that, and then considering that when it really bounces off of a surface, it tends to turn a little bit toward the purple for some mysterious reason. All right, I'm going to make this green down here. I want to see more of this at the bottom of my picture. Well, I feel like this is a fun experiment. Boy, it's a quick process making something more abstract. You don't get hung up with putting stuff in the right places. It's kind of fun.
Yeah. Looks like fun. I'm going to have to trust you on that. I haven't done it.
Yeah, well, it wouldn't have always been a fun concept. I think I enjoy trying to implement patterns that I know in the natural world into something that's a lot less natural. That's something that's real fun for me. But I wasn't always so familiar with those. So I could see this being a form of torture if you were, trying to accomplish a mission you didn't have tools for.
Quite the opposite for the viewers. Jet Set JP says the color change and blend is very therapeutic and calming.
All right, nice. And I'm not going to claim to know, but I would attribute that to this effect. I have, like I was saying, this affinity with the cool gradients on top of warm gradients, and then purple tying it together. To me, that has that effect. Now, it could be something totally different for you as you're looking at it. Feel free to chime in with any alternative takes on that. But for me, that always has a calming effect, and so I'm really glad to hear that it's not giving a different experience.
Mavis has a title for your video, because you always got to put a good title on there when you.
Okay, what is it? What is it? Let's hear it.
Said you have to. I mean, it's close. You have to come up with the actual title. But she says this is a great class in reviewing color patterns of reflection and transparency.
Ah, cool. I like that.
I feel like there's something there that can become a title.
Yeah. Okay. That really dials in the theme of it. That's good. I feel like this object needs a little more standoutiness because I put all the other stuff in there, So
Leanne wants to know how the puppy reveal went.
So good. It was so fun. We had our kids go in the other room, and my 10-year-old comes out, and I hand him, this box is for you. And he doesn't know what's going on. He doesn't know why he got sent in the other room. So he kind of grabs the box. He's like, okay, and then his mood just, changed instantly when he pulls the top off. It was just a good moment of seeing the shock and the excitement. Really enjoyed that.
Nice.
Mm-hmm. Purple and orange.
I enjoyed this Christmas watching the joy on my kids' faces.
Nice. I mean,
it was like that is we're watching a movie, and just them giggling was quite enjoyable.
That is such a wonderful part about it, because not everybody has kids, but that is a magical element to Christmas, is having little ones that are soaking it up. All right. I don't know why I wanted those horizontal-ish lines in there. I just thought it would look cool. So here's so to make your bright colors really count. This is an opinion, but I think it's a solid one. Making bright colors stand out. You need to have the grayer colors setting the stage for that. So I have these gradients that happen from all these bright colors mixing on my initial background. And so this could all be very quickly overdone. I've got primary red, primary blue, primary purple. All of this could just be, a big cloud of primary colors where nothing is really a focal point, because everything is the focal point, and it makes nothing. It takes away the opportunity for anything to feel special at all visually. So the muted grays are very important. That's the purpose that they serve, is setting a stage for the things that are bright. So in criticizing my own work, it's like this is where I would strive for improvement, is really choosing where I want the brightness to stand out. I mean, I like it. I'm not saying I don't like it, but that would be my fine tuning, rather than trying to say this is the thing that my picture is, so how can I make it look more like that thing? It would be more like, since it's an abstract concept, I would focus on viewer experience quality and say, let's make it feel like it's about something that matters, because that's more enjoyable to look at. It grabs more attention. So I would find bright areas that just don't need to be that bright. One of them that I think doesn't really need to be so bright is maybe all this red in here. Let's experiment. Let's see if I'm onto something. So all this red in here, I think, is brighter than it needs to be. Just brighter than it needs to be. So I want it there. It's cool placement. It's cool shapes. But I'm going to mute it. So I'm going to put some purple and yellow in there because that'll make a brown color. Purple and yellow and white to lighten it back up to where it was. And that is going to make this hog less of that attention, that color space. It's going to take less of that because we have things that are bright and saying, look at me, I'm the bright accent of the painting. You know, that's already like happening in other places. So it might be to my advantage to let those be the main event while this falls back a little bit. You know, just a thought. Just a thought.
Do you ever paint with a spatula?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I did that with some oil. With some oil paint. I'm going to take a look at the inbox now. Is it a good time for that?
Good time for that. Cat Marie in the Woods says it's funny some rules still apply in a painting of nothing real.
Well, they apply. They're applicable. You know, they can benefit. Like there's something to be gained from it. Well, because I mean, if we really are trying to make something that's nothing, yeah, I don't know why you would do that because why be creative then? Why create if you're not creating some? But
well, there are some artists, like if you do a pour painting, or there's things that are even more abstract than this.
Yeah, and you can't tie it to an object, but the total absence of, you know what the total absence of pattern actually is? Total absence of organization is solid color, just solid gray colorlessness, where everything is equally distributed, creating no pattern whatsoever. You know, when everything is truly randomized, you zoom out on that and you just get absolute nothing. It's just gray. So I could just leave a canvas white and accomplish that. You know, is my point.
Yeah.
So patterns make something worth looking at. I think what I'm getting at is what makes the job worth doing. What makes it, which I can't give an authoritative answer on that. I'm just presenting my logic, asking the question, why is it even worthwhile if I'm not assembling patterns that I've seen in nature somewhere? Because if people are looking at a thing, their intent is to look at a thing, not look at a nothing.
Yeah.
That's just the way I see it. All right.
So for Christmas, I painted a landscape. My sister-in-law said the most beautiful weather is foggy. She loves when the sun's covered and it's just foggy. So I painted an entire landscape, and then I took gray and just painted over the top of my entire landscape, and I gave it to her for Christmas. So it was a pretty good, funny moment with the family.
Nice. That's good. All right. We got one from
box.
We've got, to my surprise, it looks like we got something from Ben here. Let's check out what Ben's been up. He sent an email to us.
Brother Ben.
He's camping. Yeah, he's camping. So, you know, he's sending some inspirational imagery here. Let me shrink down the chat window here so that we can take in the full view here. Yeah. Nice. There we go. We've got some beautiful reflective pattern and translucent gradient patterns, things that shift toward the yellow as they get brighter and gain color. That would be these clouds. See how these clouds down here have slightest increase of yellow, and it's very bright. And then as they dim, as they get dimmer, they're moving away toward the purples, you know? So things move toward the yellow as they get bright. That creates glow. Same in here. So if you go from the dark part of this cloud, You go, and so these are patterns I'm using in my abstract piece to have create different effects and feeling, you know. So as we go from, this is the most purple color in this gradient. Here's a gradient left to right. So here's the most purple color. And then here I would mix a very gray, a super gray, red, orange, very, very gray. And then here it's a really gray, yellow, orange. And then it goes to white. It doesn't go all the way. It's just the direction that makes the effect. It doesn't go all the way to a yellow. But this is the yellowest color in that gradient. This is the purplest color. That's what makes the effect, is that change. So all of these areas with glow coming out of the clouds are that gradient that you can use at your discretion to create the effect of light within, coming from beyond the surface. Sorry, my zoom jumped there on the computer. Okay, so then reflection gradients. Let's find reflection gradients. Look at this. We've got light that is really pale. These gradients that go upward get lighter, but when we look at that, we don't see light coming from within this cloud. We see light bouncing off of the cloud. So look how that does not shift toward the yellow. And this actually goes toward purple. If we swatched this color where my mouse is going back and forth, it would be bluer. And then if we go up here, this, well, let's just say visually, I think it looks slightly more gray purple than the more intense blue below it. And even if it doesn't, like I said, you find exceptions to these things for sure. So maybe you don't feel like that goes to a purple, but it is the opposite of this. It's not going to the yellow, and it's losing color intensity instead of gaining it. And that makes a very reflective look instead of a translucent look. So beautiful example sent in by Ben of light bouncing all over. And, you know, I just like to use them as a fun study subject as well, while admiring God's beauty here. You know, these gradients and edges are just fantastic experience. Look at this. There's like a shadow being cast on that layer of clouds from clouds that are below. The sun is coming across, going upward, hitting the underside of these and casting a shadow of other clouds. I just now noticed how cool that looks. That's a lot of layer to it.
I just noticed that as well. It's neat.
Yeah.
Did Ben leave any comments with the photo?
Let's see. He said, from Ben, thinking about you. That's it. That's the comment. He's just out there enjoying the beauty of nature. Here's Cornea sent something in. My painting changes in different light. Ah, indeed they do that. I did this abstract painting recently. I looked at it later that night, thought it was having a holy moment. It looked so different. It's just acrylic paint. Don't know how it happened, but it changes. Sorry, the last photo is a bit blurry. I was so shocked when I saw the painting it change. Let's see this change. Let's see this. All right, nice. I like the expression on that face. Good human form on that. Very good. A lot of nice looking form as well as mood to that expression. That's cool. Now let's look at the next one. Let's see. Oh yeah, that doesn't even look like the same picture. No, you're tricking us. You're tricking us. You painted a different picture.
Maybe she did it on purpose. Maybe it's paint colors that do that. I don't know. It does change quite a bit.
Whoa,
it looks
that's
like a night scene on purpose, and then it switches to this.
Yeah. Totally different. Yeah, well, in the hair, you know, like, okay, that hair seriously changed. Huh. Either that or you got some serious special effects going. I can't explain that one, but thanks for sharing it. It's really cool. Good job with the human form on that one. Really nice. Good mood. Good position. Nice picture. Thanks for sharing that, Cornea. Fascinating. Don't know why that happened. You know, light is a fascinating thing. I got some polarized sunglasses for Christmas just so I can go out and study polarization. I just want to see it and stare at it for hours by myself. That's my idea of a
Wow.
good time.
Are you going to translate that to your paintings as well?
We'll see. We'll see what comes of it. Here's a really cool looking one.
This is cool.
Yeah, yeah. This is on target with the content we're painting. What do you think? Is this? Are we looking down at something? Are we looking into something? What do you think, Jonathan?
To me, it has a nebula effect, like you're looking up to some nebulas in the sky.
We're looking up at something. Point of view has to be assumed, you know?
Looking straight up and looking down aren't a whole lot different, are they? As far
Well,
as
it's a totally different experience, and abstract pieces are very experiential, you know, like they generate experience without defining what the thing is. So I think that's a fascinating thing. I felt like I was looking down. You felt like you were looking up.
I could also see this as coral in an ocean.
Yeah, that's kind of where I went with it. That was my instinct reaction, because I saw the translucent gradients. I was like, oh, that looks like things emerging up out of water, but they could easily be things in an atmosphere. I wonder if this was a pour painting, or if it was just.
I don't think it was a pour painting.
It looks very brush dabbed, doesn't it? No, it's not.
Yeah.
Well, sorry about that jumping around. That's annoying. Yeah, we got lots of brush texture on. Super cool. Use of shapes, swirls. Nice. Here, Mary says, I would like to know what you think.
Before or after we look at the paintings, because there's like a lot of thoughts when you and I chat. We think a
lot.
Yeah,
right. Let's see if there's more to this message. I'm looking for the message. Portrait is a watercolor of myself, because you were talking about value this last week. Okay, let's check it out. Let's click on these. I'm going to open them up individually. So one of the things color will create is those effects, whether something is translucent or whether it is opaque. And so like on skin tone, if you have any color at all, any color variation can immediately translate as being translucent or non-translucent. So when you are truly at a colorless photo, then you don't have to think about that. But as soon as you add a little bit of color, I'm not going to import this into the app, but I'll show you what I mean. Now let's admire these pictures first. This is a nice fantasy piece. We got like a crystal towers of different colors, cosmic background, very cool. I like the creative content. Love that bright blue river going to the mountain. Hey, this kind of feels like where I live. Aspens, mountain, stream. We are a little bit short on streams here in Arizona, but you know, we got a few. There's some pretty ones. You just got to drive to get to them. You probably got a lot more where you are, Jonathan. A lot more running water. Northern
when
California.
It rains, we have water rushing in every direction. It is crazy.
Yeah. Nice use of the color reverb. I like this. Okay, I want to show you some of it. Let's see if we can get the app to work today. We got to go to, we have to go to it online because my local version is mid-update. You know, we got to go to colordriver.com, and you know, this really is a work in progress. Okay, work in progress. We're going to do a drawing here, and let me scoot Jonathan over to the left side. So if we are making a person, you know, let's change to let's go completely gray. All right, values. All right, we're going to go like this. We're going to make a person. All right, this is a person, and we're going to put some shadows in here just by darkening this color. Keep it colorless. We're just going to go down to a darker gray, and let's zoom in and put some eye socket shadows in here, right here, like this. Let's put a shadow under the nose. There we go. And let's put a shadow under that bottom lip right there. Maybe make a smaller brush stroke and put a shadow under the top lip. There we go. We've got a person looking at us, and we're going to use the blender tool here. So let's let's grab this. Oh, wow, that doesn't work. Okay. Wonder why that doesn't work. Can't use the blender tool. We got to just use colors. Okay, so if I change this color, I'm going to add a little bit of translucency, and all it takes is a tiny bit of color. So if we add a shadow here, let's to start, let's take that gray, and we're going to put it somewhere in between in darkness. So none of these colors are relevant right now. They're all just put all the way to the gray. I'm going to go kind of in between the brightness that is the shadow and the brightness. I'm going to create some cheek shadows right here. Let's put this, give this person a somewhat chiseled shape to their face. Go here, put a shadow under here. You know, we're creating where that turn is on the face. When you do faces, the big shapes first is a great rule. I was realizing after I did that pug, was that last live stream? Was that on the last one that I did the pug? I think it was.
I don't remember. Maybe it was.
Yeah, it was. And I realized that I broke my own cardinal rule of big shapes first. I dove into details before I had the larger shapes in place. I dove into the details. And so when you do that, you get invested, you get invested in putting stuff in a location that is not the best, and then you got to change it later. So big shapes, this is just a side note, that if this was someone I know and I need to capture likeness, I want to get these large shapes that I'm working on first, make sure it's starting to look like them before I start investing in the little things. Okay, so now I'm just taking different shades of gray and putting them on here. So here's an intermediate color. You don't even need to blend. We're doing this without blending. I'm just putting bands of different color. Now, to make these bands of different color look more translucent, okay, so maybe this is even better than blending them because we can observe it. Okay, this is like breaking down a gradient into bands. So there's our transition colors. Now, if those start to have the pattern, let's add a little bit of color. We're going to make it get a little yellower as it gets brighter. So from a gray to get yellower, we're just adding yellow. That's all. So it's the presence. Once you add color, it's color has the potential to really change the feel. So let's move this toward yellow. Let's add a little color, not a lot. Stop my phone alarm. Okay. All right. So I've added a little color. Let's see where we're at. There. See, we got lots of color, but let's make it darker. Right here. Okay. Now we're going to take this. We're going to go around here like this. We'll go around here, around this nose. We'll go around this shadow, and then we'll make the intermediate colors as well. And this is going to give my character the effect of having light coming out of it, like illuminated skin tone. And it doesn't take much, we only bumped it. A tiny bit into the color. We could have done even less, we could have actually done it here. Let's go even less color than that. We're just doing tiny amounts. Okay, let's see if the undo works. There we go. Now let's go here and we'll go around this one. There we go. See, we've got a little bit of color in here like this. Okay, let's go over here, do the same thing, a little bit of color. So my point here is that we don't need to focus on the exact color, but the presence of this pattern to capture this effect. Okay, now I'm going to go a little bit darker. After I put some of this in place, we'll go around the chin like this. And we'll go over here, put it in this area. Boy, it's kind of like a scary movie. All right, we're going to go here, go a little bit darker. Now, as I go darker, oh, whoops. I didn't mean to go more colorful. I meant to go darker. We're going to go darker, and we're going to, let's move Jonathan. Sorry, Jonathan, let's move you over. We're going to go darker toward purple. Purple is this way, see, because this is red. Then the next color would be purple. Man, I went too far to the edge of my screen. Hang on. Close that. Let's use the mouse. Okay. Go toward purple, meaning into the red zone, and a little bit darker. Move it down. Let's see what this color looks like. There we go. That's a good color. So now this will be our next stage. We'll replace that gray with this one. So now with an almost black and white image, I am making sure that the color doesn't send a message that I am not wanting. It has the potential to say this is a lifeless zombie if I use a different kind of gradient that doesn't have this. But if I have this gradient, then it says this is something that has translucency and light coming out of it. Right? Let's go here. Let's make these just simple color bands. We're just making these transitions right here. It doesn't take a lot. Hang on. There. All right, that's it. You see? So I'm using that color pattern to make it look like there's glow. That's just breaking it down to super basic patterns. And that's with that shifting pattern. Does that make sense? What do you think, Jonathan? It's translating. We're going to go like this.
I think it translates. There is a question in the comments, though, about the shape of the nose. How'd you come up with that shape for the nose as opposed to like a triangle pointing down?
Oh, yeah, because I'm not doing the nose. I'm painting the shape of the shadow that's cast under the nose is the goal there. So hang on. We don't want that. I think my computer's freaking out. I just put my touch screen is not liking this. we got scars going on. I'm going to have to close it down and find out why that happened. But
the spooky effect just increased.
Yeah. So that was a good question. So a nose, if you look at my nose, if I just get, okay. A trick to doing really quick impressions of people is don't try to outline the shapes that you recognize on the face. You can just use blobs of paint that are the shape of the shadows that the shapes make. And then the imagination can fill in that blank. So this was a choice to make a slightly upward turned nose. What that is a nose that's pointed a little bit up as opposed to a little bit down. Noses are all different, So I just made a shadow that was, you can make the shadow any shape, but what shape you make that shadow will influence the perceived structure of the nose because it's the shadow that's under it. So if you look at my face, my nose doesn't turn up. When I was a wee young lad, it went a little more up, but it's gotten quite a bit larger since I've aged. And so now it doesn't really point upward too much anymore. So now I have kind of the opposite. You see a triangle that's shaped like this. So it's kind of a fun thing. You can do real quick faces this way. You can make faces very fast by doing this. Let's do the same experiment again. This is fun. So I can just take that's why it probably did that, because I was touching the pad at the same time. Okay, so we just make a gray thing right here. And the structure of this face is going to be perceived by the shapes of the shadows. And so if I was making, I might have to switch to using paint here. I think my app is acting up. Gosh, that's Terrible if people are online trying to use that. It's a very disappointing experience at the moment. Okay, I'm gonna go like this. So let's get a practice board here. Let's do this one. Here, remember this old thing? Here's a good practice board, just in case that painting has value later. All right, so we want to paint a person. It's funner to paint stuff anyway. It's a painting show. All right, let's put a base color, right? Some orange. Let's make this person some kind of a medium-ish tone of skin color, just something kind of average-ish. All right. Okay, now we're going to make a shadow. And so that shadow color, I'm going to use black and orange. And I'm just going to make some shapes here. Okay, so here, maybe that has a lot of white in it. Let's make it not quite as gray. Let's go up here and let's make eye sockets that are sloped downward like this. This is a shape that is certain individuals. So myself and my brother Ben have eye sockets that probably slope more that way than the other. You know, if you were trying to identify it. So if I was making Ben, once again, I'd do that. Also, if I was making Ben, he doesn't have a wide nose. He has a pretty narrow nose. It's narrow up here and it's narrow down here. So the shadow is going to be, and his nose doesn't go up. It goes more downish. So let's put a shadow. It's like that. You see what I mean? It's just a dot of paint that is considering the general shape of the nose. So we're going to go like this, make the triangle the other way to suggest a different shape of nose than what I did digitally a minute ago. All right. Big lips, thin lips, low lips, high, you know, the shadow is going to tell us. So we can make a real small line here for the mouth, like this. There we go. We've got the shadow of a bottom lip. Then if we've got a large lip under it, we might put the next shadow down low. If we got a small lip under it, we might put the next shadow right there. See, and this gives us the shape. All right, then 2 lines here. Gives us the 3-dimensional kind of skull shape. All right, so this color communicates, now that we have color, if you see the color, it communicates something. And so it's when you introduce it that you want to think about, is it communicating what I want? So if I want this skin to look like it has some translucency to it, then I need to think about that gradient, which I already did. I kind of made the shadow slightly shifted toward the purple, and it makes sure, and I have color, a lot of color in that shadow.
Raluca wants you to zoom in a little bit on your painting there, make it bigger on the camera.
Sure.
I'm trying to imagine what this guy in this flower forest is doing, the size of his head and how much room is left for his body. It's like a someone from Wonka walking around under giant flowers.
Yeah, right. Huh.
Let's have some
fun. Let's have some fun with this. Let's put a little bit of purple side light to it. Let's take this and put it on here. And this works good because purple is easily associated with reflection color, the combining of ambient bluish light on a somewhat orange surface. So it immediately has that kind of feel to it. But notice I put it within the boundaries of the existing shadows that communicate that 3D shape. So then I just want to make sure that if I brighten the nose, okay, now I want to show you something. I'm going to brighten the nose, but if I brighten it by just adding white to my shadow color, right here, we're just adding white to the shadow color. I want you to see how when I brighten this, do you see how that, and then let's brighten the eyebrows, let's brighten the cheeks with this. So what I want you to see is that this does not look like a nice glow. This doesn't look like we've got light that is in under the surface. It's not that subsurface. That's because it lost color as it got lighter, and it went toward purple more than it went toward yellow. So
it
we
does
can
look like reflections on the skin.
Yeah, it looks like reflections. And not only does it look like reflections, it's reflection that does not have very much translucent glow, because you can have a reflection on top of a translucent gradient, just like I did on that painting. I have my translucent gradients in here and then reflection on top of it. You can do that. But this, I've added the one without the other. So this starts to take on the zombie look. So the solution to that is that I'm first going to make sure that I add color where I brighten to some point. Just the gradient is just going to be in place at some point. So let's go like this. We'll make this more yellowish. This will be our brighter yellower color. Okay, then as we darken, now I'm going to get that shadow color. We'll use a purple and orange, make it a little bit more on the red side. Okay, now it's getting a little darker and moving away from the yellow because I'm going toward the shadow. So you can see how this immediately gives me the look of illuminated skin. See that gradient, because I went from that glow. Now if I put a colorless reflection on there, no big deal. I can put a little bit of reflection on top of there and it adds interest. It's nice, because it's not to say that there's an absence of translucency in that skin. All right. So we can put that. Let's put some reflection on the head. So doing a person or any object, it doesn't have to be a person. It's so influenced, so powerfully influenced by the locations of the larger shapes. So diving into the details before these start to look like your structure can be counterproductive, because you get really invested in something that's not going to fix the placement of these. Right? Let's do some eyes. Here's a fun way to do eyes. We go a dark color like this. Okay. Dark color. Now I'm just going to take white and make a gray. Down here, we just make a grayish color. And I'm just going to put it on both sides of this and get a couple of eyes. Just a little dot there, a little dot there, a little dot here, here. See, now how many times have you slaved over eyeballs to get the details to look just right? So I'm here to tell you that the work is not automatically wasted. I mean, eyes do have amazing details. But what do you really gain from those details if these larger shapes are already sending the message that your face is crooked? So, or not, the better way to say that is the shapes are already sending a message you don't want, They're already making it out to be a person you're not trying to paint or whatever.
Yeah.
So getting these in place first is like, if I was trying to do my brother Ben, like, why doesn't this look like Ben? Let's correct it at this level first and then move. I'm not going to start saying, well, Ben has long eyelashes. Let's do long eye. That's not it. That's not it. It's these big shapes,
So Mavis says we finally got to answering her question from before about, I don't remember exactly what the question was, something about not getting lost in the details.
Oh, okay.
Just answered the question before.
Good. Yeah. That was a great
shape is wrong, the details won't help.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Very good. I like that. Yeah. So
I people still joining.
Okay. Nice. I feel like that has different, there are different, what am I trying to say? Different answers to that question. So I'm glad this was a very relevant one. That was a very relevant answer. So let's do somebody with super dark skin. Bring those super dark. And
did we get through all the male?
Oh, did we? That's a good question. Here, over here, I got distracted.
before we start live stream number 2, painting faces.
Yeah, I know. Exactly. I think we didn't even look at all the pictures. Okay, my bad. Mary sent this picture in. Now we got this cool one. Beautiful work, Mary. I like it. Nice work on the trees, dark silhouettes in front of that. Very,
yeah.
It's kind of, it has a wintry vibe. Oh yeah, because there's not a bunch of leaves on the trees. That's why. That's why. I like that, and I like the loose style. Big brush strokes, lots of movement. I like how you did a lot more of the vertical change in the close foreground clouds that are up high, and then more horizontal. That's a great way to get depth perspective to your sky. That's well done. Like the color choice on that atmosphere too. Nice work. And then we have one from Mark. Mark sent one in. No subject on this. We'll just admire the work. Ooh, nice misty waterfall. Look right there. Yeah, my computer is I think getting overworked at the moment. It's like, I can't process all of this. So I'm trying to zoom on the screen, and it's not liking it. This is very cool. Look, we've got something kind of fiery looking up there. That's neat. What do you think we're looking at? Autumn colors on a tree, perhaps? No?
Yeah, it looks like one tree being lit.
Let's see if we can forgive my clumsy zooming. I'm trying to do it on my yeah, kind of magical bright tree in the background on the top of this dramatic cliff. Let's see what else we've got in here. Oh, wow. Nice. Drama. Very dramatic.
Oh, wow.
All the way from black to white. Big wave. Those, now what makes those look big instead of little? You know? I think
you've answered that yourself on how to paint waves. It's the additional little details on the big wave.
Yeah, right. The presence of all the little things. But great job. Great job making those look like big dramatic splashes. Beautiful work. I love that almost colorless. You know, I feel like I see a little bit of color in there, just like we were talking about, shades of gray, but just enough color to give some lighting effects. And look how he captured exactly what we were talking about, the very slight gradient toward a yellower gray. I am doing kind of a bad job at, oh, there we go. That's how you move. Learning to use my computer, sorry. Gradient toward a bluer gray, maybe like a blue violet gray. I don't know what you would call it, but then a gradient toward the yellow. And then we have that exact effect produced. Some of it looks like light from behind. Some of it looks like reflection off the surface.
Yeah.
And did a fantastic job of capturing that. Nice. That was a good show and tell. Beautiful work. Jeremy, I don't think we've seen one from Jeremy before. Maybe Jeremy sent some in. So we got this one to look at. Wow. That is cool. I like that picture a lot. The smoothness of that gradient. This looks like you really put a lot of effort into that glassy gradient reflection. This is a hard thing to achieve, trying to get just the right amount at the different layers so it fades out in the foreground. Beautiful work. That is a very cool picture. And I like this loose technique, you know, another picture that doesn't slave over the details, because the details are not really what is giving it its feeling. You know, it's a good artistic decision. I like that. Nice. The horizon, just barely misty horizon going across the middle.
The gradient from the sea color to where you're seeing straight through the water to the sand. It's well done.
Well done. Very smooth, gradual. This looks like such calm, gradual waters. Very nice. And it's not real intense, is it? It's not like an intensely colored. It doesn't feel like that super bright summertime. Kind of has a muted softness to it. that I also think is a cool look. Really nice. All right. Thanks for sharing that, Jeremy. That is beautiful work. I'm looking for any critiques you could give me on this. I just now saw this message. And I'm wondering if you know any tricks to paint perfect reflections. Okay. All right. He wants perfect. You did darn near perfect reflection on that, Jeremy. That is fantastic work. So to do a reflection, it's always paying close attention to this exact gradient as you go down. You are adding the underwater color to what's above it. So just adding white is a great way to do it. But keep in mind that when you layer white, so because you said the word perfect, I'm really going to go deep on little things. So when you get down here and you're adding a little bit of white, that can work, but sometimes mixing can get you a slightly more colorful white than the layering. Light on dark. Let me demonstrate this. Light on dark. When you're trying to combine two things, so it'll be a different look if I let's mix a color here. We got this color. We're going to mix this light color. Now it's slightly that is probably not the color I wanted to do. Let's mix a new one. Let's go yellow, orange right here, and add some white. So if you've decided, okay, I need a lighter version of this color, I'm not showing you a right color to put on, but I want to show you how it's different. If you layer it on lightly like this, we're going to get a different looking color result. Okay, I'm making sure that it's transparent. Okay, so that's one result with one look, and it's at the edges where we get where you're seeing more of the color underneath coming through. It loses some color when you go light on top of dark. So then it might be more to your advantage, might be something to evaluate, is mixing that. So now on this side right next to it, let's do another spot. We want to make it as dark as this. This is 2 layers, but here we're gonna just darken it instead to have more color. So sometimes layering makes you lose too much color, where it might look a little bit better if you don't lose quite that much when you're trying to make the reflection of a bright illuminated object. Sometimes it can look too colorless, too gray. When they layer and you get that 50-50 mix.
Hey, Joe, your audience wants, sorry to interrupt
interrupt it. It's good.
The audience wants you to turn this guy into a flower, give him a green stem and maybe some petals as a collar or something. I don't know. They see him in this petal painting and
it's like flower that painting, just needs to happen.
And they just want him to be part of it.
Yeah. Okay. We just crossed over into total ridiculousness. That's it. And I like it. I'm a sucker for ridiculous. Okay. Let's do it. This is a purple flower.
It came up enough times that
it was popular. Yeah. Yeah. Well, we aim to please, folks. We aim to please. All right. So we're going to put a nice dark shadow going around this here. Let's put some yellow skin tone kind of emerging out of that right here. Goes down into a darker shadow so that we can bring some dark purple petals out in all directions. So let's grab some of this. Yeah. So, like this person is going to be a flower. That's fantastic. Purple. Let's make some orangish petals coming out of our flower. Let's make them like this. We're just inventing stuff at this point. Okay, we're going to go like this. Do that. Just using some gradients, some lighter color to darker color gradients. Make this look more 3D. I want my petals to look translucent, so I'm going to be thinking about that. All right. I bet it's hard to take me seriously about anything while I'm painting this. People tune into this live stream at this moment. They're like, okay, so this is what they do here. All right, I'm in the wrong place.
Well, they already felt like they woke up to a dream on the last painting we did. So I think they're okay with this being the ending to that.
Well, this is like, it's Halloween and my mom made me wear this. My parents said I have to be something for this party we're going to. So here I am. Let's just get this over with. That the expression on the face kind of gives me that vibe, you know? Okay, so without slaving over details on these petals, to make them look translucent, I'm not just going to add white. I'm going to increase color and then add white. So we're going to get lots of color wherever we want light to be passing through these petals. And if it doesn't look like light coming out of it, it's because I don't have enough that gradient. You can rely on that. It's a very reliable thing. So I'm going to make sure they get plenty of that yellow in there because it's orange. The next color as we shift toward yellow is yellow. So if we put some bright yellow tips on these petals, they'll look like from some direction, maybe some light is coming through. As long as there's that presence of that pattern that goes from the orange to that yellow. And then on this lower side, we'll make light shining through that top side, and we'll keep these dark color gradients, maybe put some dark petal veins coming out, whatever you call these, ripples, veins, the texture. You know, we'll put some.
Maybe it loves the loose style you've got going right here.
Just relying on, I'm in abstract mode, aren't I? It's rubbed off on me. You know what? Maybe I'm going to kiss good details goodbye. It'll be like, hey, life's short. Life's short. I'm not going to slave over details anymore. The temptation is there. All right.
Why is it tempting to torture ourselves with something torture ourselves with details? But it's still
because it is. Well, because the thrill of having made something is a good thrill. Like I created a thing, like our imaginations, bringing to life what's in your imagination is a thrill. Like I thought of it. I thought it would be cool if it existed, and then I made it exist, and that's awesome. And so I think details feel like the pathway.
It is awesome to make something exist. The first time I 3D printed something that was in my mind, and then I put it on a computer and I had it 3D printed. It's like it was in my mind 1 hour, and a few hours later it was in my hands. It was I don't know why, but it's a very thrilling thing to have.
I think when you say the phrase "in my mind," you should say it with the Jack Black influx. You know, Jack Black kind of voice. In my mind, I thought of it in my mind. There's a movie where he says this.
Which one is that from?
It might be Nacho Libre. It might be I don't know. One I got a kick out of. Okay. I used my translucent gradients. Now I'm going to use a reflective gradient. Orange moving toward a purple. Guess what that is? That is red. So we're going to do a gray red. And then we're going to add black to it. Then we're going to add white to it. This is going to be the reflection color of, just assumed white light reflection. White light reflection on orange petals. We're going to do a gray red. Like this. Okay. And so anyway, back to, I think it was Tom saying perfect reflection. I try to rely more on mixing than layering for a more perfect looking, by your own standard. You define perfect, but I try to rely more on mixing with understanding of what needs to be mixed to simulate light behavior. That's how I try to get a more perfect looking reflection when that's the goal. There, reflection color on the bottom, so we get a 3D look. This this is suggested to be facing up, reflecting light. You know, this is suggesting that there's light coming through at the top. It's a great pattern to use on sunflowers. And then we need, you know, I feel like we need some, a little bit of body coming off. If we use yellow and black for the foliage, then we don't outdo the colors of the flowers. So you can accidentally outcompete the color of your flowers by making a bright green, when in nature, the greens are much more pale. Paint offers a very bright green. So you don't want to use that bright green if you're doing a flower scene, because your petals are going to pale in comparison. Right. Okay, let's do another leaf right there. That's my reflection here. Let's add purple to it. Let's do a more thorough job. See that little bit of purple? Let's go a little more. This is going to be my reflection color on the leaf. We're making an edge coming right toward me, like that. Put another one there. Then we're going to do yellow and black for my green. Here. Make the middle of it. Right there. Okay, let's put a little bit more yellow on this. Now here's the tricky thing. I already used a lot of yellow and black, but if I want to put the underside of this, then I need to also have, like, if I want the light shining through this, that needs to be my yellowest color, because the light is shining through it. And so I want to think of that ahead of time. If that's the case, I might not be able to make this the yellowest color, because I've already made my yellowest. My paint can't do it, you know, so it's something to think about. But I'll do my best. I'm going to try to make a very yellow underside to this leaf. Try to make it look like some light is underneath this leaf as well. You know what? Forget it. You get the point. This painting doesn't deserve that attention.
I don't know. I think if you auction it off right now, you might get some buyers.
I'd be willing to bet money. I'd make more money winning the bet that it won't sell. Yeah. Let's admire it. Let's zoom out and just admire that wonderful piece. Hang it on your wall. It's a conversation piece. That's what that is.
It is a conversation piece. If you could really, that mountain tree background, you know, needs to come down further.
Anybody coming in late? For anybody coming in late, this was the focus. This was the focus of the live stream. We were trying to go abstract today. You know,
I think
that was a lot of fun. Yeah, abstract. It was a lot of fun. A lot could be done with this. You know, I think this, like, it feels like it's leading my imagination to different places now. Like, oh, okay, cool. What else could be done with this? And that's good. That's kind of where I want to be with abstract piece, something that leads imagination to say, oh, it'd be cool if there was it'd be neat if I saw a, you know, fill in the blank. I think that'd be a cool thing. Well, it also could be overdone real quick. You know, we don't want to overdo this with too many elements. It's got enough to think about. All right, I think we're done.
Mavis wants a paint along next week. Is that something you're up to?
Oh, we can do a paint along. Sure. What should the content be?
Clouds earlier in the chat.
A paint along with clouds? That's not a bad idea. I think that'd be cool.
Cool. We'll see if that happens next week. Maybe I'll put it in the email if you decide you are going to do it.
Yeah. Yeah. So we got to think of a good topic, but I think that's a good one. We'll give it some thought. Try to put together a paint along that we can accomplish in a. You know, I do a lot of those locally. I'll go around. Crowds will get together and do paint alongs. I did one just last week for an event, like an evening paint, and we did like a Christmas scene with pine trees and sunset. So I think that's a great idea. Thanks everybody for being here. This was a lot of fun. Really appreciate you joining us and making it a fun live event. Jonathan, thanks a lot for your help.
You're welcome.
Doing the live. Appreciate it. So we're signing out. Goodbye. Goodbye, everybody. Goodbye, Jonathan. Looks like he already left. He left early. He's gone.
No, I'm
He's
here.
like,
Just
I'm teasing. I'm teasing. Yeah. We're out of here. We're out of
see
here.
you all next year.
Oh, it will be next year.